What happens when history's most powerful men live with secrets they can't hide? For centuries, US presidents have been shaping nations by day and hiding dark truths by night. What they didn't want you to know. That's exactly what we are uncovering tonight. Before we dive in, where are you watching from? What time is it right now? Are you up late or catching this on your lunch break? Drop a comment and let's see who's wide awake with curiosity. Let's get started. 1. George Washington. In 1830, a group of thieves broke into George Washington's tomb at Mount Vernon with one goal: to steal his skull. Why? Because phrenologists believe that studying the shape of someone's skull could reveal their personality traits. The robbers didn't know it, but they made a huge mistake. They grabbed the wrong skull, not Washington's, but a relative's instead. When they realized their mistake, they panicked and abandoned the remains. But the damage was done. The grave robbery became a national scandal, and the public was horrified that even Washington's grave wasn't safe from desecration. In response, Mount Vernon authorities made sure the tomb was better secured to prevent further attempts. The incident remains one of the most bizarre and embarrassing moments in American history. Today, Washington's tomb is still a popular site for visitors, and many claim to hear strange noises around the area. Some say it's Washington's ghost still haunting the place, guarding his legacy from beyond the grave. 2. Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, has long been hailed as a champion of freedom, but his personal life tells a much darker story. Jefferson's secret relationship with Sally Hemings, one of his slaves, has been shrouded in controversy for centuries. Hemings, who was much younger than Jefferson, was believed to have had several children with him, despite the power imbalance and the fact that their relationship was never openly acknowledged. The affair remained hidden for years, but DNA tests in the 1990s confirmed the long-suspected link between Jefferson and Hemings' descendants. The affair, which took place under the strictest secrecy, paints Jefferson as a hypocrite, fighting for liberty while holding others in bondage. His complicated relationship with Hemings has raised uncomfortable questions about race, power, and the true nature of the Founding Fathers' actions. Jefferson, a man who argued for the rights of men, lived a life of deep personal contradictions that only became more apparent long after his death. 3. Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson, the seventh President of the United States, was known for his fiery temper, and he didn't shy away from using violence to settle disputes. One of the most notorious moments of his life came in 1813, when he engaged in a deadly duel with Charles Dickinson, a lawyer and plantation owner. Dickinson had insulted Jackson's wife, Rachel, and Jackson's response was as violent as it was final. The duel ended with Dickinson dead, shot through the chest by Jackson. But what makes this story even more chilling is Jackson's calm after the kill. Despite being wounded in the chest by Dickinson's bullet, Jackson stood tall, firing back and ending the duel in an instant. His calm demeanor in the face of violence was chilling, and his reputation as a man not to be crossed was solidified that day. Jackson's history of violence didn't stop with duels. His presidency was marked by numerous controversial decisions and battles, including his brutal treatment of Native Americans during the Trail of Tears. His life was a constant blend of military aggression, political power, and personal vendettas. 4. Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, is remembered for leading the nation through the Civil War and for abolishing slavery. But the Lincoln family's personal tragedies didn't end with the president's tragic death. Willie Lincoln, Abraham's son, died of a fever at the young age of 11, and his passing had a profound effect on both Lincoln and his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln. What's even more disturbing? Many claim that Willie's ghost haunted the White House after his death. Mary Todd Lincoln, grieving and devastated by the loss of her son, reportedly held seances in the White House, hoping to contact Willie's spirit. There were several accounts from staff and visitors who claimed to have seen Willie's ghost, sometimes even hearing the sounds of his footsteps in the hallways. This eerie tale of a young boy's spirit lingering in the White House adds a haunting dimension to Lincoln's presidency. The pain and sorrow felt by the Lincolns after the loss of their son seemed to never truly leave them, not even after death. 5. Franklin Pierce. Franklin Pierce, the 14th President of the United States, was not a man who was destined for greatness. But his personal tragedy could have been the catalyst for his failure in office. In 1853, Pierce's son, Benjamin, died in a train accident just days before Pierce was inaugurated as president. The loss devastated Pierce, and his grief had a profound impact on his ability to lead the nation. In fact, many historians believe that Pierce's inability to recover from his son's death played a significant role in his presidency's failure. His emotional collapse led to a series of missteps in leadership, particularly in dealing with the growing tension over slavery in the South. Pierce's personal sorrow seemed to consume him, and he was never able to fully focus on his duties as president, leading to his inability to handle the mounting political crises. His emotional struggles, combined with his lack of strong leadership, sealed Pierce's place as one of the most ineffective presidents in U.S. history. 6. Theodore Roosevelt. In 1912, Theodore Roosevelt, one of the most adventurous and energetic U.S. presidents, was shot in the chest while delivering a campaign speech. But here's the crazy part: he didn't skip a beat. Despite being shot, Roosevelt insisted on finishing his speech. The bullet had lodged in his chest, but he continued to speak for 90 minutes before seeking medical attention. Roosevelt's calm and resolute demeanor in the face of almost certain death became legendary. The attempt on his life only seemed to make him more formidable, showing the world that nothing could break his spirit. Roosevelt went on to lose the election, but this insane moment in American political history left a lasting impression on the public. Nothing could take down Theodore Roosevelt, not even a bullet. 7. Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon's time in office was marred by one of the biggest scandals in U.S. history, Watergate. But the most chilling part of the entire saga? Nixon's secret recordings. The tapes not only documented his involvement in the Watergate break-in, but they also revealed his paranoia and obsession with power. Nixon was obsessed with monitoring his political enemies, and the tapes recorded him plotting to cover up his crimes and manipulate others for his own gain. Listening to these tapes, it's clear that Nixon wasn't just the target of a political scandal. He was also a deeply troubled man whose desire to stay in power led him to make dangerous decisions. The tapes were ultimately key in forcing him to resign, but they left a scar on American politics that has lasted to this day. 8. Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton's presidency will always be remembered for the Monica Lewinsky scandal, but there's far more to the story. Clinton, known for his charm, was reportedly involved in several other extramarital affairs during his time in office. These relationships weren't just isolated incidents. They were part of a broader pattern of behavior that many believe was hidden to protect his political career. The scandal with Monica Lewinsky wasn't just about the affair. It was about the cover-up and the subsequent impeachment proceedings that nearly destroyed his presidency. Clinton's fall from grace was due not only to his personal indiscretions but also to his inability to keep these secrets hidden. It was the ultimate political and personal betrayal, leaving a stain on his reputation that would never fully disappear. 9. Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon B. Johnson became president after John F. Kennedy's assassination, but the way he took power is far from clean. It's rumored that LBJ may have had prior knowledge of the plot to assassinate JFK and used it to gain the presidency. Johnson's rapid rise to power wasn't just political, it was strategic, and many claim that he took advantage of the chaos surrounding Kennedy's death to secure his place at the top. What makes this fact disturbing is how little we truly know about Johnson's role in the assassination. Though there's no concrete proof, whispers about his involvement have continued to fuel conspiracy theories for years. Whether or not Johnson had direct knowledge, there's no doubt that his presidency was built on a foundation of opportunism and secrecy. 10. John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy's marriage to Jacqueline Kennedy may have been the public image of political perfection, but behind closed doors, Kennedy was entangled in affairs with some of the most dangerous people in the world. Most famously, he had a rumored relationship with Marilyn Monroe, a secret affair that many believe led to her tragic death just months after JFK's assassination. But it wasn't just Monroe who had ties to JFK. Kennedy's dealings with the mafia were widely speculated, with rumors of backdoor deals and dirty politics involving organized crime. These relationships were kept secret, and their implications reached into the highest levels of government. JFK's charm and political acumen masked a man whose private life was just as scandalous as the public persona he worked so hard to cultivate. 11. Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford, who became president after Nixon's resignation, made one of the most controversial decisions in U.S. history when he pardoned Nixon for his role in the Watergate scandal. This action was deeply unpopular and led to public outrage, with many believing that Ford's pardon was part of a secret deal to avoid prosecution and move the country past Watergate quickly. Ford's decision was seen as an attempt to bring national healing, but it came at the cost of his own political future. The backlash was immediate, with critics accusing Ford of cutting a backroom deal with Nixon. The pardon haunted Ford throughout his presidency and contributed to his defeat in the 1976 election. The decision remains one of the most debated moves in presidential history, raising questions about the limits of presidential power and the ethics of protecting former leaders from accountability.
12. George W. Bush.
George W. Bush's decision to invade Iraq in 2003 is still one of the most controversial military actions in modern American history. But what if the invasion was motivated not just by national security concerns, but by a desire for revenge against Saddam Hussein? Some believe that Bush's decision was partly driven by personal animosity. Hussein had allegedly attempted to assassinate George H.W. Bush, his father, during a visit to Kuwait in 1993. The war resulted in tens of thousands of deaths, widespread destruction, and a destabilized region. Critics argue that the Bush administration manipulated intelligence to make a case for war, and that the true motivations were more about settling personal scores than national security. This troubling possibility has sparked years of debate, with many questioning whether the Iraq War was a political vendetta disguised as a mission to protect the nation. 13. Barack Obama. Barack Obama's presidency marked a historic moment as the first African-American president, but there are whispers that his personal life wasn't as straightforward as his public image suggested. During his college years, there were rumors about his relationships with men, with some of his classmates and friends speculating that Obama had intimate relations with male students. These rumors have never been confirmed, but the notion of a hidden side to Obama's sexuality continues to surface. Some believe Obama's relationship with his closest advisors was unusually intense, sparking suspicions of deeper connections. While Obama has always maintained his marriage to Michelle as the central pillar of his personal life, these persistent rumors challenge the image of the smooth, charismatic politician. Did Obama hide part of his identity to protect his career, or was this simply a misunderstanding based on his close friendships and the political environment of the time? 14. John F. Kennedy Jr. The tragic death of John F. Kennedy Jr. in 1999, in a plane crash off the coast of Massachusetts, shocked the world. But what if there's more to the story than just a simple aviation accident? The circumstances surrounding his death have been shrouded in mystery, with many suggesting that foul play may have been involved. Some believe that the crash was not an accident, but a targeted event. Kennedy Jr., a lawyer, journalist, and magazine publisher, was a beloved public figure with a promising future. The fact that his death came just a year after his political aspirations were beginning to take shape fueled many conspiracy theories. Some suggest that the Kennedy family, who had suffered through so much tragedy, was once again the target of a conspiracy designed to silence one of their own. Theories abound, but the truth remains elusive, leaving many to question whether JFK Jr.'s death was truly as accidental as it appeared. 15. Joe Biden. Joe Biden's political career has been marked by personal tragedy, none more painful than the death of his son, Beau Biden, in 2015. Beau's death from brain cancer left Biden devastated, but there are disturbing rumors that the treatment Beau received in his final months may have been a factor in his rapid decline. Some sources claim that experimental treatments may have contributed to his death, but these allegations have never been confirmed. What makes this more troubling is the secrecy surrounding Beau's condition during his battle with cancer. There was little public information released about his health, raising questions about how much the public was truly told. Was Beau's death completely natural, or were there decisions made in the background that hastened the end of a promising political future? The questions surrounding Beau's death continue to haunt the Biden family, adding a layer of complexity to the already tragic narrative. 16. Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson, the 28th President of the United States, faced a massive personal tragedy in 1919 when he suffered a debilitating stroke. What's truly disturbing, though, is the extent to which his health was kept hidden from the public. Wilson's stroke left him unable to perform many presidential duties, yet the full severity of his condition was kept a secret for months. Many historians believe that Wilson's wife, Edith Wilson, essentially took over as acting president during this time. Edith would make decisions, control his appointments, and manage diplomatic relations with other nations, all while pretending that her husband was still in charge. This blatant power grab raises unsettling questions about the transparency of the U.S. government during a time of national crisis, and how much influence one woman had over American policy without the nation ever truly knowing. 17. Ulysses S. Grant. Ulysses S. Grant, the 18th President and a celebrated Civil War general, led the Union to victory, but his personal demons nearly cost him everything. Throughout his life, Grant struggled with severe alcoholism, and while this was largely hidden from the public during his presidency, it played a major role in his downfall. His battles with drinking became so bad that during his presidency, Grant was often unable to perform his duties effectively. Despite his public persona as a courageous and stalwart leader, he would frequently disappear into bouts of heavy drinking. Historians believe that his alcoholism contributed to his struggles in office, including poor decisions that tarnished his reputation. Grant's addiction was kept secret by his political allies, but his personal struggles were undeniable. 18. The secret relationship between John Adams and Abigail Adams. John Adams, the second President of the United States, is often remembered for his role in the Revolutionary War and his tenure in office. However, his relationship with Abigail Adams, his wife, was far more complex than what history books usually tell us. Behind closed doors, their marriage was the center of political maneuvering and deeply personal exchanges that have often been overlooked. What is especially intriguing is how much Abigail influenced John's decisions, even to the point of advising him on matters of governance, something almost unheard of at the time. They exchanged hundreds of letters that were filled with political discourse, personal reflections, and even emotional dependence. But one letter in particular hinted at something much deeper, a possibly secret romantic relationship that became intertwined with their political lives. These letters have sparked debates about whether their relationship was as ideal as it seemed, or if they were simply trying to mask their true emotions behind political necessity.
19 Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, led the country through both the Great Depression and World War II. Yet, behind his remarkable leadership, Roosevelt was hiding a massive secret about his health. After contracting polio in 1921, Roosevelt was left paralyzed from the waist down. But the public was led to believe that he was fully capable of carrying out the duties of the presidency. What makes this particularly disturbing is that Roosevelt's condition was carefully hidden from the American people. Photographs were staged to make it look like he could walk, and aides would help him in ways that were kept out of the public eye. This cover-up extended throughout his presidency, and the media was complicit in maintaining the illusion of Roosevelt's physical strength. Only after his death did the true extent of his health struggles come to light, sparking outrage about the lack of transparency during a time when Americans needed to trust their leaders more than ever. 20. Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson, the 17th President of the United States, faced one of the most dramatic moments in U.S. political history when he became the first president to be impeached. Johnson's impeachment wasn't a simple political maneuver. It was a deeply personal and partisan attack against his leadership. What's truly disturbing, however, is how close Johnson came to being removed from office. The impeachment trial stemmed from his decision to violate the Tenure of Office Act by firing his Secretary of War, Edwin Stanton. But behind this political drama was a man who had already alienated much of his own party and was seen as unfit to lead the nation during the Reconstruction period after the Civil War. Johnson's public battle for power turned the nation's political scene into a spectacle of intense personal and political strife. Though he was acquitted by a single vote, his legacy as a president is forever tainted by this episode. 21. Bill Clinton. While most people remember Bill Clinton's affair with Monica Lewinsky, the scandalous relationship was only the tip of the iceberg. Clinton, known for his charm, had multiple extramarital affairs during his time in office, some even involving high-profile women. Despite his public image as a family man, Clinton's infidelity was a recurring theme in his presidency. His secret liaisons with various women were often concealed by his staff, but the cover-ups would eventually unravel, leading to his impeachment. It wasn't just the affair with Lewinsky that raised eyebrows, but the fact that Clinton's personal life was a web of lies and deceit, where political maneuvering often mixed with his personal scandals. His charisma and ability to avoid political fallout only deepened the public's fascination with his hidden actions. 22. Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson, the 28th president, suffered a massive stroke in 1919 that left him incapacitated for months. But what's truly disturbing is that during this time, his wife, Edith Wilson, took over many presidential duties, essentially becoming the de facto president. While Wilson's condition was kept a secret from the public, Edith controlled access to him, making decisions on his behalf and managing his meetings. This secret power grab by Edith is one of the most bizarre moments in American presidential history. While she may have acted in what she believed were the best interests of the country, the idea of a woman running the presidency without public knowledge raises serious questions about transparency and the role of women in government at the time. The fact that Edith wielded so much influence without the American people knowing was a scandal in itself. Wilson's disability was hidden for political reasons, allowing his wife to shape major policies behind closed doors. 23. Ulysses S. Grant. Ulysses S. Grant, celebrated as a hero of the Civil War, had a hidden struggle with alcoholism that nearly derailed his presidency. Grant's addiction was kept under wraps for much of his life, but it was no secret to those close to him. He struggled with heavy drinking, especially during his earlier military years, and even while serving as president, his drinking often affected his decision-making. Despite the secrecy surrounding his alcoholism, it's believed that Grant's substance abuse undermined his leadership at times. Several key moments during his presidency were marked by poor judgment and lapses in clarity, which many historians attribute to his drinking problem. Grant's battle with alcohol remained largely private during his time in office, but it ultimately affected both his career and his personal life. The shame of his addiction was hidden from the public, yet it became a silent barrier in his efforts to lead the nation effectively. 24. Jimmy Carter and the Iran hostage crisis. Jimmy Carter's presidency was defined by the Iran hostage crisis, where 52 Americans were held hostage for 444 days in the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. But behind the scenes, there's a disturbing theory that Carter was sabotaged by his own government. Some believe that the CIA played a role in prolonging the crisis to undermine Carter's chances of re-election in 1980. The theory suggests that members of Carter's administration, along with foreign operatives, intentionally delayed the release of the hostages until after the election, hoping it would weaken Carter's political standing. In the end, the hostages were released on the day Ronald Reagan was inaugurated, fueling suspicions of a political conspiracy. Though it's impossible to fully prove, the theory remains one of the most unsettling aspects of Carter's presidency, leaving a dark shadow over his tenure and raising questions about the real forces behind the scenes of American politics. 25. Ronald Reagan's Alzheimer. Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States, served 2 terms in office during a pivotal period in the Cold War. However, what is disturbing is that Reagan was suffering from Alzheimer's disease during his second term, and this fact was kept hidden from the public. While it is now well known that Reagan was diagnosed with Alzheimer's after leaving office, the severity of his condition was kept a secret from the American people for years. Reagan's decline was slow, but it was evident to those close to him that his cognitive abilities were deteriorating. Despite this, Reagan continued to make public appearances and give speeches, and there was no indication that his administration acknowledged the challenges he was facing. The decision to keep his diagnosis secret raises questions about the transparency of the U.S. government and whether the public was ever fully aware of the real state of leadership at the time. Reagan's health became a national secret, and when the truth finally came out, many Americans were shocked that such an important piece of information was kept hidden for so long.